in a sense, a curse without a cause can't alight. That's what it says in Proverbs. So in essence, there must be some legal right for a curse to affect you. And ensuring that there are no legal rights means that curses can't affect you. And that's the process of transformation that we're going through, making sure that we've chosen to forgive people, that we're not holding things against people. Living in rest is the best protection against anything that's coming, whether it be circumstances, how they affect you, any spiritual dynamics. Living in rest is the key, because if you're living in rest, you're living knowing you're loved unconditionally. You're also grateful for life, and therefore life takes on a whole different perspective, and you've chosen to live at peace with everything and everybody. See, I'm not angry with the enemy. I'm at peace with the enemy. No, I'm not, have not stopped. Doesn't mean I don't like what the enemy is doing to people and everything else, but I'm not going to carry unforgiveness or resentment or bitterness towards anything or anyone. That is a great protection. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, we're supposed to forgive people, but it doesn't say anywhere we should forgive those things. Well, why would unforgiveness is the same? We don't give forgiveness to people based on whether they deserve it or not. We give forgiveness to people based on our choice that we're not going to live in unforgiveness. And therefore, I choose to forgive everyone and everything. And I live in that place of rest. So no matter who does something, whether it be a person, and we know our battle's not against flesh and blood, so we know it's what's behind that. Therefore, we come in the opposite spirit. And that means we choose to forgive. Even if someone's not asked for forgiveness, Jesus forgave on the cross, Father, forgive them. He didn't say, well, Father, forgive those who are sorry and have asked you to forgive them. He just said, Father, forgive them. And he was pretty much being as badly persecuted as you could possibly get, being crucified. And he came in the opposite spirit. And I think knowing that we're loved unconditionally, that inspires us to love others unconditionally, wanting the best for other people. And coming in that spirit, that protects us from attacks of the enemy. And the more you're aware of living within that place of rest, the less the enemy has any way of penetrating that rest. Like, Jesus is asleep on the boat, and they're all panicking because of the wind and the rain and the storms. And we can live in the midst of difficult situations, still in rest, because we know and trust that God's love, his protection, his provision is there for us. And I think that really is what I believe enables us then to live out that. If I do not know I'm forgiven, I'm not going to be able to forgive others properly. If I do not know I'm loved, then I won't be able to demonstrate love towards others in an unconditional way. So the key is to be loved, to know you're loved, to know the joy that brings, and then to choose to live at peace with everybody and everything. And so, probably the end of last year, I became aware that I wasn't quite feeling okay. And I was like, well, where is this coming from? And eventually I went to find out, well, where was this feeling come? And I realized that there were some very significant high-powered Christians who were in opposition and were being negative. And although in a sense, I didn't think I deserved that, because I wasn't doing anything towards them. They took the opposite view. And so I had to deal with that. Now, I immediately chose to forgive them and release them when I became aware of what they were doing and how that was affecting me. Now, I'm in relationship with others and we're operating governmentally in some things, and each of them got attacked as similarly during that period. So we were aware that we need to be more vigilant and become more aware of what was going on. And then we did a court case, and we chose to bless those people who are being negative, and want genuinely. And if you're not genuine, then you haven't genuinely forgiven. I mean, that's the reality. It's our sense of justice from a humanistic perspective is someone deserves to get something bad if they've done something bad, whereas God's mercy triumphs over that all the time. And so he's not looking at it that way. And if we're going to live in that place of rest, then we can't look at it that way either. So then I took that further, and I then looked at what was behind those people, because I know those people love God and they're amazing people, and yet they were in some way responding the way they did. So what was behind it? So I then looked at what was behind it, and I saw the spiritual activity and dynamic of what was behind what they were doing. And then I went and dealt with that by choosing to forgive those beings who were doing that. And then I went a next step, and I went and engaged those beings, and I actually told them that I'd forgiven them and that they could be restored and didn't need to be in opposition to God and what God was doing any longer, can be restored. So that's sort of another step, to dealing with things very differently